This morning. It's Howard Wolfson, Communications Director of the Clinton campaign. I'm joined by our senior strategist, Jeff Guerin, and here with me on the flight deck, as always, is our Deputy Communications Director, Phil Singer. We have just released an ad that we want to discuss a little bit on this call, talk a little bit about it in the context of the race in Pennsylvania and the overall race. And then, of course, we'll be happy to take your questions on these or any other topics that you'd like. I'm going to turn it over to Jeff, then I'll speak briefly, Phil will speak briefly, and we'll open it up to questions, and we'll try to be on for about 45 minutes or so.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you've had a chance to see the ad. It's really our closing argument in Pennsylvania, unlike Senator Obama's closing argument, which has really been negative and a assault on Senator Clinton based on lots of half-truths. We wanted to bring this choice back to what's really important here, which is the critical issues facing our country and the need for a president who's got the strength and the knowledge to take on the tough challenges facing our country, who's ready to stand up to the pressures of the presidency to do what's right for the American people. We think that that's Hillary Clinton. We believe the voters of Pennsylvania will conclude that Hillary Clinton is far better prepared for the tough challenges a president will face from day one. David Axelrod said yesterday that really we have to wait for the special interests to fold up their tent and go away before we can really tackle America's tough problems. We don't think that's the case. We think a president has to be ready to stand up for the American people from the very start of her administration, and that's what Hillary Clinton will do. So this is what we think the election's about. It is about having a president who is ready to take on the tough challenges, who has the strength and the knowledge to do that, who knows what the pressures of the presidency are and what all the curveballs that come at a president each and every day. That's Hillary Clinton, and that's really where we want the voters' attention to be focused, because we think it's what is most important in picking a president. Howard?
Thanks, Jeff. I was muted there for a moment. Senator Obama has outspent us 3-1 in Pennsylvania. He has outspent us by $7 million on TV alone. So the discrepancy between, or the gap between what he has put on television and what we have put on television might in and of itself be able to fund a statewide effort in Pennsylvania. The overall number is roughly 11.2 million for him, roughly 4.8 million for us. And if Senator Obama can't win a big swing state like Pennsylvania with that enormous spending advantage, just what will it take for him to be able to win a large swing state? We have seen Senator Obama has in the past had serious problems winning states that Democrats need to win in order to win in November, like Florida, like Michigan, like Ohio. And now in Pennsylvania, he is doing everything that he can to win. Not to finish closely, not to do well, to win. He is trying to knock Senator Clinton out of this race. He has outspent us 3-1. He's outspent us by $7 million on TV alone. He has gone sharply negative. There's so many negative ads that he has up that I can't even keep track of them. And he is doing this to knock us out of the race. And if he does not win, after having outspent us so dramatically, it will once again raise very serious questions among voters and superdelegates about whether or not Senator Obama can win the big swing states that any Democrat would have to win in November, like Pennsylvania. And so the stakes are very high tomorrow for both candidates. Make no mistake about that. The stakes are high for Senator Clinton. The stakes are high for Senator Obama. And if he can't win outspending us 3-1 in Pennsylvania, after having lost in Ohio, outspending us there 3-1, questions will again be raised about whether or not he can win those big swing states that any Democrat needs to win in order to get elected president. Phil?
I'll just be very brief. One of the things, part of the pattern that we've seen emerge from the Obama campaign has been when they feel that their back is up against the wall, that there are questions raised about Senator Obama or his ability to handle a certain issue or whatnot, he tends to go on the attack and get very aggressive. Clearly, Senator Obama has felt some concern over the last several days about his ability and to address some of the issues that have been raised and concerns that have been raised about him over the last, the closing week or so. And so as a result, he has gone on the attack and made some of his most aggressive and most negative comments that we've seen come from him personally over the course of the campaign, not to mention what we've seen come from his campaign. I think the lesson going forward is that, and I think one of the problems that Senator Obama is going to have going forward is that he's in a situation now where the issue that he's been trying to grapple with, namely the comments that he made about small-town Americans, are transcending just his campaign. They are now being used to attack Democrats down ballot. We've seen a very aggressive effort from the Republican Party overall to go after other Democrats that are running this cycle. The Congressional Republican Campaign Committee is going after Democrats, as is the Senate Campaign Committee. We've seen some direct mail pop up in Pennsylvania, and just this past weekend we saw the New Mexico Republican Party begin airing commercials criticizing his comments. So, as we go forward through this process, obviously electability is something that, the superdelegates or automatic delegates are very concerned about. It's something that they are going to consider as they make their decisions about who to support. And certainly Senator Obama's answer has not been to address the concerns and the situation that he's put on the table, but rather to go out and throw punches at Senator Clinton. And, we don't think that's going to be enough. He's going to have to do a much better job if he's going to address those issues. We feel that we are in a very comfortable and strong position to make our affirmative argument for why we are the most electable, most likely to win going forward, and that's what we're going to continue to do coming out of Pennsylvania and going forward.
With that, I am happy to open it up for questions. We'll take questions for as long as we can on these or other topics. Operator, if you could open it up.
Sure. Participants, if you have a question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. This will place your question in the order it was received. Once again, if you have a question, you may press *1 now. And we'll take our first question.
Hi, Howard and everyone. It's David Korn at Mother Jones and CQ. And I have a question that comes over from last week. I'll let others ask about the new ad and the new pronouncements. Howard, last Thursday, you promised to get back to me with the answer to a very specific question, what Hillary Clinton's position was on the 2 pardons her husband granted to Weather Underground radicals in 2001. You sent me an email quoting you saying that she thinks it's a pardon from the president.
Right.
That did not state a view one way or the other. That's like saying a chair is a chair. So, you did promise on this call last Thursday to get back with a response. I wonder if you have anything better than that.
I'm not aware that she had an opinion.
Well, yes, but I asked for her view on that. I mean, is it impossible to get an opinion out of her on this front?
Well, you asked me whether, what you asked was what was her opinion at the time, and I sent you what I had said at the time when somebody reminded me that I'd actually been asked about this 7 or 8 years ago, whenever it was, and you're totally within your rights to find that answer You're totally within your rights to follow up, and I've now given you an additional answer, and you can...
What you said, Howard, is that you're not aware of whether she had an opinion. I'm asking what she thought of those pardons, then, now, anytime in between.
No, what you asked was what she thought of them at the time, and I'm not aware that she had an opinion at the time.
Well, then we can go and look at the transcript, but I'll amend my question now to say, what was her opinion of the opinion of the pardons, then, now, anytime in between?
I don't have anything more for you than what I've given you.
Okay?
Okay, we'll take our next question.
Hi, it's Andrea Mitchell. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, you're talking about being positive in this wrap-up. I'm looking at your ad, and the whole, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, I mean, do you really see that as a positive message rather than a negative message? Also, wondering about the way you frame, if he can't win Pennsylvania, then he can't defeat John McCain.
That's not. Please, Andrew. Please, let's be precise.
Okay.
What I said. It's not what I said.
Okay. Why don't you reframe it? My point isn't it a completely different matchup in the general election, and what happens in a Democratic primary is not replicated.
Well, let me speak to that, because I do think, this is Jeff, Andrea.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Great. How are you doing? I think what is true about the general election is that historically the people who are most likely to be swing voters are the kinds of voters among whom Senator Obama's had his greatest problems. If you look at the movement from the 2000 election to the 2004 election, 2000 when Al Gore won the popular vote, and 2004 when Senator Kerry did not, a lot of that movement occurred among exactly the kinds of blue-collar and middle-income voters who are with whom we've been very successful, and Senator Obama has not been in a variety of states. We'll see how that plays out tomorrow, but that's exactly who has been, and I think is likely to be, the swing voters in the general election. In order for a Democrat to win, he or she has to be able to do well with those kinds of non-college educated voters who feel very comfortable moving from one side to the other, and in fact that's exactly what they did from 2000 to 2004. In terms of the ad, it is entirely a positive ad. It states the reason why Hillary Clinton is the right choice to be president of the United States now is that the premise of this ad and this campaign is that we're at a moment when we need a president who's got the strength and the knowledge to take on very tough challenges, and we believe that is Hillary Clinton far more than it is Barack Obama. We think it's more than John McCain, and that to say that she is the best choice on those things is there's nothing negative about that. Senator Obama goes out and argues that he's the best choice to do certain things. I don't think anybody in the media said, "Oh, he's making a negative ad," when he does that. And so it seems to be completely applying two different standards to say that when we make our best case for Senator Clinton, that's negative, and when he makes his best case, yesterday on Meet the Press, David Axelrod didn't just say that Senator Obama is better to produce change. He said that he doubted that Senator Clinton could even do that. Their campaign is based implicitly and now explicitly on a negative premise. This ad is just talking about why Hillary Clinton is the best choice to be president.
Well, I was focusing on the tagline, "If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen," which replicates what she said on the Times Post debate, the suggestion that he was whining coming out of the debate.
I think just as a creative matter, we would well have used that phrase before the debate, and in my conversations, I did use it before the debate.
And in terms of your filings, guys, is it accurate that you're in debt? Is there going to be another loan? Can you tell us, is it true that you have $9 million in primary funds but have spent 10? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's what's been reported out of the FEC.
Yeah, the numbers are what they are. We have what is it, Phil? Roughly 9 point something in debt and roughly 8 point something in primary money cash on hand. While we're talking, I'll get the exact figures. And the money continues to come in strongly. We had a very good month last month of fundraising, $20 million. We raised $15 million online. We are continuing to have a good month this month. Senator Obama, as I said at the top, has significantly outspent us, but we've been able to obviously get a message out because we do have strong supporters who have been generous with their contributions. Now many of them doing it online in small denominations. The exact number is 9.3 cash on hand for the primary.
Okay, we'll take our next question.
Hey guys, Bill Salmon, Washington Examiner. Howard, you seem to be setting the bar kind of high for Obama, saying that he needs almost a knockout win here, but the conventional wisdom, fairly or unfairly, holds that if Obama keeps his loss to 5 or 6 points, he'll not only be fine, but there will actually be pressure on Hillary, more pressure for her to get out. Doesn't she need more than a simple win here? Doesn't she need, at a minimum, a double-digit victory and perhaps even as much as 20 points to make this a game changer?
No, go ahead, Jeff. I'll take that.
That's really kind of those numbers are ridiculous. Look, Senator Obama, I think, made a conscious decision to try to change the stakes here. They are not spending $3.5 million this week simply to improve the Pennsylvania economy. They did not. They made a very serious choice that will have long-standing consequences to put their brand at stake in order to try to deliver this knockout blow. That they've been campaigning about this with this notion of the politics of hope. I don't think that that's how they've behaved. But now, in a very obvious way, they have gone in a different direction in a way that I think that does affect his brand. They've made a long-term decision to do that. It was a high-risk and high-consequence decision, and I think they did it for a reason. And look, I think that under other circumstances, it would be fair to set the bar higher. But they've really changed. I think they've really changed the arithmetic here by spending as much as they've had, throwing as much mud as they have, jeopardizing their brand in the way they did. I think they've changed the standards in Pennsylvania in a very significant way.
But don't you agree, Jeff, that the expectations are such that, let's say, if Obama won by a couple 3 points, that would be huge. But
yes.
If Hillary won by a couple 3 points, people would continue to keep saying, well, she probably needs to get out of this thing because the math's never going to work for her.
No, well, look, I think that Senator Obama is conducting himself in a way by which a reasonable person's expectations should have shifted, and I think that is true among the people who will be decision makers in the Democratic Party. I think it will I think it may have a consequence If he fails to win in Ohio, we think it'll set a different tone for the races that follow in North Carolina and Indiana. And so that, whatever the expectations were before, the Obama campaign, I think, has made a decision to try to play a different game in Pennsylvania, and reasonable expectations ought to be shifted accordingly.
The other thing I would say, this is Howard, is that, really so the question you asked really in a way pertains to superdelegates and other party leaders. And these are people who have been around politics, who have run races themselves in one capacity or another, worked on races. And they will understand full well that if Senator Obama can't beat us outright with the enormous spending that he has engaged in Pennsylvania and the enormous disparity, that there's a problem. And so I am not aware of any superdelegates who are going to say, oh my goodness, Senator Obama outspent you guys by $7 million. He outspent you by 3-1, and you were only able to beat him by whatever the number is. They're going to be interested in the result. The presidential election in November, as we know, comes down to the number of votes, not whether or not there's a certain margin, but whether who wins a state and who loses it. And if Senator Obama can't win, outspending us so dramatically, it will, as I said, raise questions about his ability to win states like Pennsylvania in the fall. And ultimately, that's what superdelegates and other party leaders are focused on. They want a candidate who can win. They obviously want the best president, but they want a candidate who can win. And so far, having lost Michigan, Florida, and Ohio, Senator Obama doesn't have a great case to make. If he loses Pennsylvania, despite massive spending and massive spending advantage, it will raise those questions again.
Okay, we'll take our next question.
Hi, it's Jonathan Tyler with Newhouse Newspapers. I interviewed Jeff early last year on the campaign, and he said, while Senator Obama is a person of color, he is also at the same time an incredibly unifying figure. I think there are a lot of Americans, including a lot of white Americans, who can see themselves somewhere in the Obama story. And I'm wondering whether you think there are fewer white Americans now who see themselves somewhere in the Obama story.
Well, the short answer is yes, and I am relatively new to the Clinton campaign. I think the folks, including Howard and Phil, know that there have been times in the past where I've said that I think that our campaign has had a tin ear on some things. I think the Obama campaign, in a much more egregious way, has had a tin ear on this. Obviously, the comment about the bitterness of working people in small towns speaks to that, but I don't think it's a campaign that's done a very good job of connecting with blue collar voters and middle income voters. And that's been borne out throughout the voting in this election. And I don't think, I think when Senator Obama was speaking to his donors in San Francisco, I think his explanation was, well, that's a problem with the voters. That but I really don't think that that's the explanation. I think the Obama campaign simply has not done a very effective job at connecting with blue-collar and middle-income voters, and they are the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. We can't win without them.
What about his handling of Reverend Wright in his speech on race? Did that affect his ability, or the ability of white Americans to identify with him?
Different people have had different impressions of the speech, and in terms of its quality, but in terms of its impact on the on the arc of the race, I think it was much less of a significant event than people would have thought at the time. That it was an interesting speech, but in terms of something that affected the dynamics of the race in a significant way, I haven't seen a heck of a lot of evidence that it did. Not the only standard by which a speech is judged, but that speech did not, I think, have a powerful impact on the dynamic.
So does that mean that the connection with Reverend Wright also didn't have a significant impact, or his speech responding to it didn't have a significant impact?
No, I think that the situation with Reverend Wright, or Pastor Wright, is something that caught people's attention. My impression is that the decision about whether to stay or whether to go was kitchen table conversation around the country. It's a conversation I wasn't yet. I can't recall yet part of the campaign, but it's certainly a conversation my wife and I had about what we would do in that situation. So I do think it was sort of something that people thought about, but I think this really did come home much more deeply to voters in terms of the comments about the bitterness of working people in small towns and other things. But look, it's the divide in the voting predates all of this. Is that Senator Obama's appeal among white voters typically has been among the people who are most affluent and with the highest level of educational attainment. And the more you move away from those parts of the electorate, the less well he does. And in fact, that's not just a reaction to Senator Obama. What we see very clearly in our polling is that among those people who are working hard to make it, especially among women in that group, they really invest a lot of their hopes in Senator Clinton. They see her as somebody who gets their lives and who will stand up strong for them as president. And so that I don't want this to be misconstrued as simply an Obama effect. There is a very powerful Clinton effect among these voters who really are struggling to make it in today's economy and who really see Senator Clinton as a person of strength, a person who understands their situation and who will stand strong for them as president.
Thank you.
And we'll take our next question.
Hi, this is Jeff. How are you?
Good.
Quick question. I wanted to see if you had any response to the reports coming out of the Obama camp today that the campaign is just a bunch of caca. It really comes down to this.
All right, thank you. Next
rather than any real issue.
Question, please.
We'll take our next question.
Hey guys, it's Sam Stein from the Huffington Post.
Excellent. A real reporter.
Well, that's questionable. I wanted to follow up on Friday's story about comments the senator made at a fundraiser in which she talked about MoveOn.org, and she said, "They're driven by the views of our positions, and it's primarily national security and foreign policy that drives them. I don't agree with them. They know I don't agree with them." I was wondering if you could, and this is a specific question, if you could highlight one or two specific instances in which the senator and MoveOn.org have disagreed.
Sam, it's Howard. I appreciate your effort to extend your exclusive story, but we've said all we're going to say about that, and I say that as a proud member of MoveOn.org.
So there's no specific instance that you...
We've said all we're going to say about your story.
Then can I ask a follow-up question?
You can ask whatever you like.
Thank you very much. Over the weekend yesterday, Senator Clinton decried Senator Obama for saying that John McCain would be a better president than George W. Bush. Senator Clinton and the campaign, however, has said that John McCain has passed the commander-in-chief test. So I'm curious if how this logic works out, and I'm wondering if you think George Bush has passed the commander-in-chief test, considering that you think John McCain and George Bush are the same president.
Fair question. In terms of the commander-in-chief test, that's obviously posited in a political context, in the context of an election, where Senator McCain, obviously, as a veteran and a war hero, has certain advantages in that area. That does not speak to whether he would be a better president than George Bush, which is not a claim that we are willing to make. In fact, it's absolutely not a claim that we are willing to make, and we were surprised that Senator Obama himself was willing to make it. Now, maybe he misspoke. I haven't heard him say it since. Maybe it's something, the candidates get tired at the end of these races. But no, we're not going to say that John McCain would be a better president than George Bush, because in a lot of ways, John McCain would really just dig the holes that George Bush created for us deeper. In terms of the economy and Iraq, you're talking about a candidate in John McCain who not only wants to continue the George Bush policies, but wants to double down on them. And that's not what America needs, so we're not going to, we certainly will not be out there making the case that he would be a better president than George Bush. And there's a difference in the context of a discussion about how voters will look at candidates in an election and how someone would govern.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take our next question.
Hello? Yes. Hi, it's Amy Cheswick at the Wall Street Journal. Quick question about how you're handling your debts to your two major consultants, which was Mark Penn's firm and Bespoke & Hub. And another question about if you're going to be taking a more frugal approach to campaigning in Indiana and North Carolina upcoming races, and how you plan to do that.
We will, of course, be honoring the debts in the coming weeks and months, and that goes for whatever our debts are, and to whomever they are too. And with regard to frugality, look, I think we've run a very frugal campaign in Pennsylvania. As I said, we're being outspent 3-1. We're being outspent massively. So there's no the campaign is absolutely being run frugally, and we're doing what we need to do in order to get our message out. But this campaign has resources. All of you who are in Pennsylvania have seen plenty of our ads. We believe that we've been able to make the case. But there's no question that Senator Obama has outspent us dramatically. There's also no question that should have an impact on this electorate. Jeff can speak to this. He's been in more races than I have, but when one candidate outspends another 3-1, that candidate tends to have some advantages going into the race, and if he's not able to convert those advantages into an actual victory, I think again it raises questions about whether or not he is going to be able to win these big swing states come November.
We'll take our next question.
Hi, this is Tommy Christopher from AOL.
Hey.
My question is for Jeff. I have two quick questions. First one, I'd like a little clarification on Senator Clinton's remarks about McCain and Bush. Is she saying that McCain is the same as Bush or worse than Bush? And my second question is, do you think that the context of the commander-in-chief remark is going to translate when the Republicans run in a campaign ad against the Democratic nominee in the general election?
Jeff, do you want to take that? Do you want to take either of those? You want me to take them?
Sure. Well, first, I hope that Senator Obama's comment was not a preview of his general election message. It didn't get my blood stirring, and at the end of the day, do we as Democrats feel that on the important issues, the two most important issues facing our country, the economy and the war, that Senator McCain will represent a real change of direction? The answer is no. I mean, from the perspective of the American people, they don't think that continuing a single-minded focus on Iraq is the most important challenge facing the country, and that favoring an open-ended, unconditional commitment to keeping our troops there is in America's best interest or in the best interest of the American people. And it is very clear from all of Senator McCain's comments over the course of the primary campaign and before that he does not get what Americans are suffering through on this economy and hasn't begun to seriously address the kinds of changes we need to fix this economy on behalf of working Americans. So, look, on the two most important issues facing average Americans today, Senator McCain does not represent any improvement whatsoever on President Bush's policies and his record. And with regard to the commander-in-chief, Senator Clinton did not say that he is unqualified to be. He said he has not yet passed the test. It's not a test that he cannot, but he's not yet shown the same level of understanding and grasp of the issues that we believe Senator Clinton has. If you go back to the debate in Philadelphia last week, to us the important parts of those debates were not the beginning segments where the questions about the Wright and Bitter and Bosnia in our case and those kinds of things. The important part of the debate is when the two candidates had a chance to talk about the issues. And both in the discussion of domestic policy and also national security policy, Senator Clinton clearly stood out as the candidate who knew the issues, who knew her own mind, who knew what she stood for, and knows what she needs to do as president. And we do believe that in terms of being ready to be commander-in-chief, she has shown the American people a lot more.
Okay. We'll take our next question. Yes, reporter, you may ask a question. All right, we'll take our next one.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's Chuck Rosh at Gannett. Phil, you said earlier that you felt the campaign and Senator Clinton was in a very comfortable and strong position to make the argument that you're the most electable. But yet today, another superdelegate, in particularly in Ohio, which Senator Clinton won, endorsed Senator Obama, saying that that she believes he will, quote, end politics as usual, which divides the nation, end quote. And I'm wondering, given your argument about, winning primaries and showing how electable she is, why do you think you've been losing in this superdelegate race over the last 6 to 8 weeks?
Well, this is Phil. I don't think it's a question of us, losing. I think it's been an issue where we are, we're competing for superdelegates. We've obviously are ahead in our overall superdelegate count. We've amassed quite a few. Senator Obama has had some success. I think I'll refer you over just to the last couple of days over the weekend on Friday and Saturday. I think we've got something like 4 new superdelegates, including Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio. Look, I think that superdelegates, for the most part, in terms of the uncommitted superdelegates, for the most part, are watching the race closely. They're looking to see, to check out the results of what comes out of the states that have yet to vote. They're going to be looking at Pennsylvania, and I don't think it's, I think it's safe to say that certainly the superdelegates will continue to. We'll have several questions for the Obama campaign if Senator Obama fails to be successful on Tuesday, considering the amount of resources and money that they've expended on the state of Pennsylvania, and particularly when you juxtapose the effort that the Obama campaign has made in Pennsylvania against the effort that they've made in some of the other big states that are going to be vital and integral to the general election. Ohio, for example, where Senator Obama lost. So I think that superdelegates overall are looking at the race. They're keeping an eye on it. They're evaluating the candidates. I would recommend an interesting AP story that surveyed a number of the uncommitted superdelegates over the weekend, the days leading up to the weekend, went on the wire over the weekend, that basically says, superdelegates are looking at electability. They're looking at who they think is most likely to win. I think that we've got a compelling argument. We put together a strong coalition of voters that will translate well into a general election setting. We've performed well in the states that are going to be vital to a Democratic candidate winning the White House and amassing the requisite 270 electoral votes. And so we will be watching and continuing to communicate with the superdelegates who have yet to back a candidate and make our argument.
Quick follow on that, though. Isn't this precisely the kind of superdelegate that you need to be winning? A state you've already won, on the cusp of what looks like you're going, a Pennsylvania win tomorrow. Could it be that they're just not buying your electability argument, or they're looking for something different than electability? Maybe they're looking for someone who they believe can govern better.
Well, I can just tell you what we are hearing, I think, and what we are taking away from our conversations with superdelegates and what seems to be regularly reported in the press about where superdelegates are at, which is that they are looking at this race. They're keeping an eye on it. They're not rushing to make a judgment. They want to make a decision that is fully informed, that takes into account a variety of factors, and certainly who can win in November is top among those factors. And look, I would just refer you to Congressman Tim Ryan represents the kind of region that Democrats are going to have to do well in come November if we are going to carry the White House and get to work on ending the war, fixing the economy, and grappling and tackling the challenges that we are facing as a nation. I don't think that Congressman Ryan would be getting behind our bid for the White House if he didn't think Senator Clinton was the best and most likely to win.
Thanks.
And we'll take the next question.
Guys, it's Jim Axelrod with CBS. Hey, could I ask you to address the notion of winning the overall popular vote, something a couple of surrogates have said, if you can't win the delegates, you need to win the total popular vote, to make an argument to the superdelegates that indeed Senator Clinton represents the collective will of the Democratic voters. For that to happen, I've seen a number of accounts where she has to have a very big win in Pennsylvania, record turnout in Pennsylvania, and then continue down the road. My question is, do you agree with this? That's why she needs to have a 10, a 15, a 20-point victory in Pennsylvania. That it's very simple. It has to do with the.
Well, Jim, it's Howard. I think superdelegates are going to look, and I've said this consistently, are going to look at a number of factors in determining which candidate to support in Denver, and certainly among them is the popular vote, as you and others have reported. I think that coming out of Pennsylvania, we obviously hope to narrow the gap in the popular vote considerably and get very, very close to the popular vote. And of course, if we do well in Pennsylvania, that will be more likely. But I reject the notion that we need to achieve a certain standard of victory other than victory. I've never been in a campaign in which the candidate being outspent 3-1, being outspent by $7 million, is expected to achieve a certain standard of victory other than victory. And as I said, in November, you either win Pennsylvania by one state against John McCain, or you lose it. You either win Ohio by one vote against John McCain, or you lose it. Assuming we do well in Pennsylvania, it will again show that we are better positioned to win the big swing states that we need to win, that any Democrat needs to win in November. And that's the goal. The goal is to beat John McCain. And if you can win Pennsylvania now, think it speaks better about your ability to win Pennsylvania in November. If you can't win Pennsylvania now, I think it speaks worse about your ability to win Pennsylvania in November. And that goes for Ohio, obviously, and Michigan and Florida. So do we want to get close in the popular vote and make up ground? You bet. But the goal tomorrow is to come out of Pennsylvania with a W, and whether it's 1 vote or 100 votes or 1,000 votes or 100,000 votes, it does not matter.
And I do think that come June 3rd, when the last votes are cast, the dynamic will be different. That there are 10 more contests, starting with the one tomorrow in Pennsylvania. At the end of all the voting, neither candidate will have the number of delegates they need to win the nomination, and so that the elected officials and the elected party leaders who have been given the role of the superdelegate will make a decision. I don't think they're going to make a decision on some any one metric. I think they will. Part of what they will look at is what's happened over the course of the last 6 weeks of the campaign or whatever period, and make a judgment about which candidate is really hit his or her stride in terms of making the right case, demonstrating that she or he will be the best person to not just to win the election for the Democrats, but to lead the country with strength. And so that this is not, about a metric. I think it is how that the people who are leaders in our party perceive the development of the two candidates and the quality of the campaigns they've run. I believe that under almost any scenario, what we will have when the last votes are counted on June 3rd is a very, very, very close race, and there it's in that environment that the elected officials of the Democratic Party and our party leaders will have to exercise their good judgment in good conscience about who can best lead the party to victory and who can best lead the country to deal with the challenges that it's facing.
We'll take a couple more. We'll try to end it around 12:30. Jeff may have to jump before then, and if he does, Phil and I will stay on in his stead, and maybe just for fun, one of us will try to imitate him and see if we can get quoted as him.
All right, we'll take the next question.
Hi, it's Mark Memmott with USA Today. Back on the new ad, I just want to make sure we're clear. Are you saying it's not intended to raise doubts in voters' minds about whether Senator Obama can stand the heat? And would you say that it won't have that effect?
It is no different from an Obama ad talking about what he does on change. We think that Hillary Clinton is the best candidate by far to stand up to the pressures of the presidency, and that's what that ad is about. There are two candidates running. We think we are that on this characteristic. There is one candidate who is substantially better than the other, and you can interpret this ad any way you want, but when you do that, please apply the same standard to every ad that Senator Obama runs. So when Senator Obama says there is one candidate who's better to bring change to America, do you think of that as a negative ad? This is exactly the same thing. There is one candidate who is better prepared. First of all, we don't take, and Senator Obama may not agree with the point of our ad, we don't agree that he is better to bring change to America. We think Senator Clinton is far better to do that. But in this respect, this is exactly the same thing. We believe that there is one candidate who is far better prepared to stand up to the pressures of the presidency who is far more likely to provide the kind of knowledgeable and strong leadership America needs at a very challenging time, and that's Hillary Clinton. That is the alpha and omega of that ad.
Thank you.
We'll take two more and then call it a day.
Okay, we'll take our next one. Yes, reporter, you may ask your question. Okay, we'll take our next one.
Guys, this is Tom Bevan with Real Clear Politics. I wonder if you'd take a minute just to comment on the, as you're probably aware, Drudge is touting a report now. Your internal polling shows an 11-point lead, and it's attributed to a top insider of the campaign. Can you confirm or deny that report, and otherwise comment on it?
Completely, it's wrong. There's no such data in the campaign.
We categorically deny, and anyone who wants to follow off this ought to get the poll in their hands. And the reason I say that is because there is no such poll.
This is part of our era of frugality. My luck, I arrive at the moment of frugality.
Exactly. No, categorically deny an obvious effort to raise our expectations falsely by somebody. And again, I would strongly urge anyone who's interested in following up to get a copy of the poll before they do anything with it, because there is no copy of the poll.
Okay.
We'll do one last question.
And for our last question?
Hi, Howard, everyone.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, this is Emmy Kalalai from factcheck.org.
Hello.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Basically, this last question is in regards to your ad Talk and Action. We were actually curious because it says in the ad that over the last 10 years, Obama's taken almost $2 million from lobbyists. But according to our research at CRP, Center for Responsive Politics, we're only seeing that he's taken $250 from a PAC and then a little over $115,000 from lobbyists. Could you guys comment a little bit on where those numbers are coming from? I'm assuming you guys are going back to his Illinois state legislature position and money he was taking then.
Yes, the ad, he has taken $1.8 million over the course of his political career from corporations, lobbyists, and PACs. And that number is ironclad, and we're happy to get you the data. But it obviously, I appreciate the question because it raises the larger point that, Senator Obama has spent this entire campaign telling people that he doesn't take money from lobbyists when, of course, he contemporaneously takes money from state lobbyists. He makes the distinction between state and federal. And over the course of his career, as Jeff pointed out yesterday on Meet the Press, he has taken $1.8 million from corporations and lobbyists and PACs. So that is an ironclad number, and I suspect that a lot of Pennsylvanians who've seen millions of dollars worth of ads from Senator Obama saying he doesn't take money from lobbyists will be very surprised to know that in the course of his career, he took nearly $2 million from lobbyists, PACs, and corporations.
And actually, just as a follow-up, could you talk a little bit about the influence that the campaign may expect to see from these state lobbyists? I was just curious as to what type of influence. I mean, you've got federally registered lobbyists, and you've got these state lobbyists. What kind of influence is the campaign expecting to see in terms of this difference?
I'm not sure why that's the relevant question. I think with the argument that Senator Obama is making, that I think implicitly is that somehow one cannot do the people's business if they are if they don't do what he all of a sudden has done, which is to choose not to take money from lobbyists and PACs. Well, he has had a political career where he's done the opposite of that. I don't think, and so that it raises the question: does it feel that somehow in his career has he been so seriously corrupted by that $1.8 million that he failed to do the people's business? And if he doesn't feel that way, why does he feel that somehow now he is that his virtue is so much greater than Senator Clinton's and lots of other lots of people who who don't feel that we ought to be unilaterally disarming in the face of the Republicans.
And with that, we want to thank everybody for getting on. We appreciate your time. We took about an hour today. Hope we didn't take up too much of your time. Happy to take additional questions via email or phone. Phil, myself, and Jeff are at your disposal, and we'll talk to you all soon.